1 2 1 2. Test 1 2 1 2. That's loud. You don't want it overbearing in here. Start to get aggravated. 1 2 1 2. All right, tell us when.
All right, you got a minute.
A minute? Okay.
Yeah.
You're
Loose, by the way, Bo.
I don't know what to do.
It's time for the Lake Martin Sports Roundup, covering all local and area sports and teams with your host, Scott Hardy, and your phone calls at 256-234-6221. If it's sports in the Lake Martin area, we cover it. The Lake Martin Sports Roundup, right now.
Good Tuesday evening out there to everybody, and welcome into the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard and Randy Lee. No Scott Hardy here tonight. Scott with a night off, so Randy and I are filling in for him. But we want you to come out to JR Sports Bar and Grill and make your Tuesday evening supper plans to be right here, or to call in and order something, and they'll actually deliver it for you. You can call in and they'll deliver it to your house. So make sure you make JR's part of your plans. Randy, it's been a fun-filled summer here on this show. This summer, the summertime is always a fun time because we are inundated with a lot of youth groups here, from baseball to softball to gymnastics, you name it, and all-star teams here the last few weeks. But we had Show Your Colors a couple of weeks ago with Sunfest. Now we are kind of hitting into school. School starts back for everybody next week. It's hard to believe. And we're only a couple of weeks away from kickoff for high school football. And, man, I'm telling you, there's some people getting ready to jump out of their skin that come up to you and I and say, man, it is here. We're excited, but, boy, it's hot outside, isn't it?
Oh, I'm so glad that I don't have to go out there and do that anymore. I think about it almost every afternoon.
It's hot.
And you have to spin it a different way to kids if you're out there coaching, but I'm not coaching, so I can say whatever I want. That is miserable.
Can I tell you what Braden told me the other day when he said he puts his helmet on? I said, you need to be outside running, getting used to this heat. He said, I don't think about the heat when I put my helmet on. I said, good. I said, when you're out there throwing up after the first couple of runs that you have, I'll remind you of that. But you do. You really have to get acclimated to this kind of heat. If not, you can really get in danger. We had Dr. Goldhagen on the program a few weeks ago talking about heat exhaustion and strokes. It's serious.
It is serious, and we see it the first, 3 or 4 weeks out of the season, that one of the biggest problems with high school football is dealing with the cramps. And you know, I'm sitting here proof positive right across from you that, you know, growing up, tried to do everything possible, from eating bananas to taking potassium pills to drinking as much water and Gatorade and everything under the sun that you could take, and cramped just about every game the first 3 or 4. And what do you do? I don't know what you do. You can't really condition yourself. A lot of people are just prone. You know, Brian Horn was that way. Brian was prone to getting cramps. You know, a lot of people are prone to getting different types, and some can come back from it.
That's right.
You know, I was always amazed with guys that we played with. I'll bring up a name because we're here on a local program, but one of the best athletes we ever had growing up was Timmy Lawson. Timmy cramp. Well, he'd go over the sideline for about 10 minutes, drinking some water. He'd come back and play the rest of the game, never cramp again. I always wonder, how do you do that? Because am I different? Are you the same way? Once I cramp, it's over. I'm going to cramp the rest of the time.
Yeah, man, if your leg muscles or, man, anything, you know, and a lot of people go into full body cramps when you lose as much water as you possibly can out in a day like this. You know, you can be out there and the actual breeze be blowing, but the humidity is so high and you're losing such body weight. Randy, I remember being at Auburn as a media relations assistant and going down to practice and watching the players weigh in before practice and after, and guys lose 11 pounds. That's unbelievable. They lose that. Some of those linemen that weigh in over 300 pounds and lose 11 pounds, and it was all water. I mean, that's dangerous. I mean, you get to a level we don't think about a lot of times. Our good friend Wes Coleman talks about it in tennis a lot. He's seen, some guys just lock up, full body cramps, have to go to the hospital because you have to get IVs to get back from that. But we do want to encourage everybody. Youth football starting that here in Alex City. The 11 and 12s and the 9 and 10s went and picked up their equipment yesterday. There's a good number in both age groups. They'll start practice in a couple of weeks. It's going to be hot. Middle school and high school started yesterday. And, you got these coaches out there that are really mindful and really precaution, and the HSA really preaches to be smart out there. But we just want to preach to everybody out there to make sure you drink plenty of water and get that Gatorade, get those electrolytes.
And if
back.
you watch yourself, you'll live through it. And it's good
fine
for you. And, you stay in shape, and you kind of do it's like working out in it. It's no different. I mean, there's guys that go out there and build homes and
every day
work up and down electrical lines, and they're out in it all day, and they've got full gear on. So you kind of get I've got some guys that are riding down the road. My good friend Tim Rape's probably riding down the road laughing at me right now because it stays about 105, 110 in the back of our shop as we run a dryer all day, and no air conditioners, just air blowing. So you kind of get conditioned to it, but it's the fun part of the year. It's football starting. It's 2-a-day practice. They're really pulling back with the HSA. Did you read the article?
I did. I read
not going to be anywhere near as much full contact, full speed. And your thoughts on that, Brett?
We're in a different day and age. And let me just say this. I think that a lot of it goes to the workout programs, the conditioning programs, and the shape a lot of these athletes are in. Not that it's a lot different than it was when we were in school.
It's different, though.
But there are some guys that are really, it's runaway trucks, man. You get hit by some of those guys. And you see it in college, even backing off and choosing in certain coaches and certain programs choosing not to go as full of contact during the week to try to stay healthy. Man, the proteins and the things that you can take now, the supplements to get your body. These guys are in immense shape. And even in high school, you look at some of these kids now that are just, you're like, that kid's 17, he's 16 years old. It kind of blows your mind to see how big they are. I think it's so precautionary because of the concussions and everybody trying to be safe now. I really do.
256-234-6221 is our phone number. May not be able to take calls. We're trying to work through some things there.
We'll see.
I know we're up against our first break, Brett. And when we come back, we'll continue to talk. Again, Lake Martin Sports Roundup each and every week. This is the first time we haven't had 2 or 3 sets of guests in how long, Brett? And we want
3 months.
We want 2 or 3 sets of guests each and every night. It's kind of fun to sit up here and talk and have a kind of a media days tonight that Brett and I will cue you in on all that's going on with high school football kicking off. But if you've got kids that are active in youth league, high school, cheerleaders, whatever they're doing out there, let us know. Contact us through our social media outlets or give us a phone call, and we'd love to have them on the air.
We will. We're just getting started here. Give us a call. We come back. We'll talk about the teams from around the areas. We're only a few weeks away from the start of high school football. Stay tuned. More of the Lake Martin Sports Roundup presented by JR's right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. This segment brought to you by Radney Funeral Home. So we want to thank all of our segment sponsors out there for providing their businesses on our program, and again, all the support they give us, and we want to definitely support them. But thanks to Radney Funeral Home being a segment sponsor here on the Lake Martin Sports Roundup.
Please tell me you watched the Braves.
I did.
last
I
night.
watched it. It's unbelievable that you catch me on a day that I did.
No,
I'm just going to tell you.
Me too. And it's Monday nights, usually the best around our house. We have some time. So I caught the last. Luckily, I turned over as Brzezinski's hitting homer.
That's it.
I've been watching most of the night.
Inning.
Did you see him catch the ball, though, on the short hop?
Yes.
The pitcher threw it about halfway, and it bounced to him, and he stood up and got it, and he got back down in the crouch. He's hilarious.
He's a pretty cool dude.
And but that home run, and then to close it out the way that they did, is the reason people love baseball. Is if you could get that every night. Luke may even like baseball.
Well, I flipped over in the 8th inning, and they were down a run, and the Braves had out hit the Giants 12-9, and I was like, this is about typical. I'm like, this Braves, they hit the ball and. They still come up short, and I flipped off. And then I was kind of flipping through all our social media stuff, and I was like, and the Braves made some post, come back. I follow the Braves on Instagram and said, here, let's get the rally caps going. So I flipped back over there and hit the home run. I was like, well, this is the one Braves game I watched all year. Picked a good couple innings to watch. But it is, Andy and I talked about the Braves on Sports Call a few weeks ago, and he says they're saving up for the opening of the new park. I said, well, I sure hope so, because, boy, it's been a fire sale. And I don't know if I can name one player on the whole roster. And I used to be a huge Braves fan in the 90s when they were rolling. And we've had our arguments back and forth about, what, kind of warrants a good franchise and all. And I love to pick at Andy and say, you win your division. Well, congratulations. You're better than 3 other teams in your division. Let's hang a bunch of those banners up there. But the Braves have had a phenomenal run. But somebody was actually comparing Bobby Cox to Mark Richt the other day. They said, how do you get rid of Bobby Cox? He always won 100 games, but he didn't win anything. Well, Mark Richt's kind of the same way. How do you get rid of him? He wins 10 or 11 games a year, but he just don't ever win anything. I mean, he got a bunch of bowl trophies, but congratulations.
256-234-6221. Love to hear from you, Brett. When do the Alabama Sports Writers Association polls come out? Next week?
It will be
2 weeks before or a week before?
I think it may be a week before, so we'll see.
Feel fairly confident. Again, Benjamin Russell will be ranked in the top 10 in 6A going into the regular season, and I think Dable will be also.
Dable's very, very talented this year, and that they're going to move a guy that's not a natural quarterback into that position. Is going to have to take over that position in Jennings, but he's a tremendous athlete. He's very coachable. You heard Richard White and what he's been able to say about him. Kevin Keel was on the program a couple of weeks ago. The play-by-play guy for Dable High School, does a tremendous job. He's a good friend of ours, and he's got high things to say about Jennings down there. But he said, he's a natural defensive back. He's strong. He's fast, but going to have to play quarterback this year because Dable's in a position where they don't really have a true quarterback on the team. Cal Jones not playing really. That hurts you, but Cal Jones already been offered a scholarship at Alabama to play baseball. He's a tremendous baseball player. So choosing to not risk getting injured in football, but he is a tremendous athlete in football too. If he was on that team coming in this year, you would really, not to say that Dable's not going to make a run, because I really do feel like they will, but you don't have a lot of Cal Jones out there on any program. Boy, he's a weapon.
256-234-6221. I'd like to hear from Dable fans, and there's a lot of them that have kept up with Dable athletics for a long, long time. When is the last time, or if ever, they've had 3 Division I guys heading off in a 2-year span? You think they're going to have both Jennings boys there at Alabama playing? And then Cal's going to be there at Alabama playing baseball. That's 3 Alabama signees in 2 classes for a small 4A school here in Tallapoosa County. That's unheard of, isn't it, Brett?
Well, they've just, since they went 0-10 and went 10-0 the next year, they've been on a phenomenal run. And, unfortunately for them in the playoffs, they've been so close to getting over the hump. The UMS Wright, I know, is not a name that Dable people like to hear, because it seems to be a thorn in their side. But they've had their chances, and they've had some opportunities, and they've come up short. And You and I have gone down there in the playoffs and stood on the sideline and watched some really good games after our Wildcats there for a couple of years didn't make playoffs. So I don't know. I said a long time ago, the year they'll win it all is the year when nobody's expecting them to. Because there's been the last couple of years, a lot of people thought that they would win the thing. And, Thomasville, you look back at the year they had to play Thomasville and Kyle Caldwell, who's now a coach at Horseshoe Bend over there. Kyle Caldwell, tremendous athlete. I mean, they've just had a ton of great players and nothing to hold their head down about, man, because you look the last 5 years of that program, they've won a ton of ball games.
And that's all you can ask for. I'm sorry, and we live here in Alexander City, and Benjamin Russell's won 10 ball games 3 years in a row.
That's
First
right.
time in school history. Coach Horn.
11 one year.
I mean, your cap needs to be tipped to him, to say the least. But that's all. I mean, when you don't live in Hoover and when you don't live in a Mecca where, let's don't kid ourselves. If you don't live and your kids go to private school, Madison Academy and UMS, right, where you can go out there and you can pull in whichever kid you want. You don't have you a quarterback, go get you one.
Yeah, go find
Don't
one.
have you a running back, go get you one.
Need a middle linebacker, go get him.
Go get him. That you can't compare.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
Hoover's the same way.
Yeah.
Or if you live in a large city like Birmingham, Montgomery, because you can move around. Look at basketball right now. Mountain Brook's about to have the top ninth grade basketball player in the country playing.
Here they go again.
And all they do is just roll them in, and it's such an easy move for you to get into that school district. So back to what I'm saying, I mean, all you can ask for when you grow up in the public school systems like we do is to give yourself an opportunity year in and year out, and once in a while you get over the hump and you win it. And so I think we've really been blessed here in Tallapoosa County to have these two teams do what they've done.
There's no doubt about it. And then you add Reeltown in down there, what they've done, and they get a blessing in getting Coach O'Neill back. So we'll talk more about that when we come back. We'll take your calls, 256-234-6221. More Lake Martin Sports Roundup presented by JR's right after this.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. This segment brought to you by U.S. AmeriBank. I want to thank U.S. AmeriBank for being part of the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show. Again, Brett Pritchard, Randy Lee here with you till 7 o'clock, and then Randy and Luke will take over at Sports Blitz Live, which will go statewide from 7 to 9. Make sure you get your calls in. We'll go a lot more regionally and nationally with that. So give us a call, 256-234-6221 to be part of the program. Randy and I, no guests tonight, back to school next week. And so a lot of kids getting their last week of summer in. Randy, don't blame them. You and I talking about the schools in this area getting ready in a few weeks to kick it off.
Practice starting up this week. And, where we're located with our office there on Madison Street, the band program has been going nonstop all summer. And so we look across the street and see them. And I know the football team's been working out, but practices start up this week. And that really tells you it's only a few weeks away. August the 21st will be the first ball game, and a couple of tough ball games to start the season off. BC Rain, who went to the third round of the playoffs in 5A last year, going to be a tough team coming back into the Sportplex. And then you look at Central Clay, going to play them the second week of the season here at home. Always tough, and you got a nice little storyline there. And then week 3. Go to Opelika, and Opelika coming off a week 2 matchup that they'll take on Auburn in week 2. So many storylines going into the season. Can't wait. A new update, though, on picking up your Benjamin Russell High School season tickets. Opposed to season tickets being sold from the central office this year, they will be sold at the BRHS Gymnasium lobby once they go on sale August the 10th. So stop by there and pick up your season tickets. Brett, we've looked down below us for years and years. This will be my 10th or 11th year. And how many years you been doing it now?
I quit counting.
15 years?
Yeah, it's been 15, I think. 15
years. And most of the people that are below us have been sitting in the same spot for years and years.
They have. And, that's a lot of loyalty with our program, and we're blessed to have that. And, we bragged over the years, our road crowd is bigger than a lot of teams' home crowd. I know for a fact that Spanish Fort last year, we had more people than they did. And, it wasn't even close. And I thought, everybody's going to pile in here in a minute. And I looked over at Spanish Fort, and I'm like, did somebody forget they were playing tonight? This is a pretty big game, isn't it? We're in the second round.
You got to think back, though, Brett, and those schools are new. And not a lot of alumni base when you've only been – how long has Spanish Fort been in existence? 8 years?
Maybe, yeah, somewhere around there. Years, split off from Daphne High School. I mean, I understand
you think that's got a little – it's got to have something to do with it.
I think it does, but that stadium's not that big. All right, let me just say that. And there's a lot of people that live in that area. That's one of the more populated places. Are you kidding me right now? You don't fill that stadium up in a second-round playoff game? I understand the school's young, but, if I'm sitting down there, and that's just me, maybe I'm the only one. If I didn't have anything to do on Friday night, I'm going to that playoff game. I just felt like it was kind of weird to look over there and see that they had a section and a half that wasn't even anybody in it. So you take our band out of the stands, it really looks bad over there. But on our side, we had standing room only. We had people from goal line to goal line. It was packed. People making that trip down there. It's never any different. I remember when we went to Rehoboth a couple of years ago, and I don't know if you can get to Rehoboth from here. I forgot how. And you pull up down there, and it's a beautiful school, but man, we were way outnumbering them down there, and it's hard to even find that place. So Benjamin Russell, time after time after time, regardless of what type of team we put on the field, which most of the time we put a really good team out there, but even in the down years, we still have a great crowd.
Well, this year we're going to put a good team out there.
You better believe it.
I'm not the coach. I don't have to. I can just say what I see.
You don't have to be PC.
Now, does that mean this is a better team than we've had the last 3? No. The last 3 we've had great teams, and we've been right there on the cusp and losing to state champions. Only games we've lost over the last several years, Spanish Fort, Opelika, and Homewood in the last 3 years. Think about that. Put that in perspective. Huh? So that's about as good as you can get. And so this year we'll put a good product out there and great leadership. And it starts at the top with Coach Horn, but also starts at the top on the football team. And our quarterback's about as good a leader as we've had in a long time.
Yeah, he is. He's featured in the Outlook today. I encourage you to pick that up. Returning starting quarterback last year that was asked to take over that position for Bryant Horn, the from the year before, and Bryant with so many years of experience really starting as a freshman, injured his freshman and sophomore year, but had good junior and senior season, stayed healthy. But Tyree, a lot was asked out of him, changed that offense up, went to a more option-style offense because of his abilities to run the football, runs a 4.5, 4.40, which is a tremendous time, can really throw it. And, Randy, that's where we saw him progress last year with throwing the football. You think about playing Opelika game 3 like we did last year. We had our chances, moved the football down red zone, kind of shot ourselves in the foot in the first quarter, but Opelika was a really good football team. Opelika didn't score on us in the second half, so they did all their damage in the first half, but Tyree really grew up after that game and got better each and every week. And I had so many people come up to me and say, I don't know if I've ever seen in high school a quarterback from week 1 to week 11, week 12, when we played on into the playoffs, mature and improve as much as Tyree did last year.
I don't think we needed to be told that. I think you and I said it moving into week 7, 8.
We did. But people realized it, and they just were blown away by his character and the way he handled himself and how he finally discovered, hey, man, I think I'm the best player on the field, and I don't have to get in a rush. You and I have talked about good athletes before when it looks like they're in slow motion. Things just look like they just kind of just drift through plays and all that. Tyree's that guy. He's got a full year under his belt now. He's really confident. I'm just excited to watch him this year.
And to watch what he did in the second round of the playoffs on the road at Spanish Fort, an outstanding defense. And he goes for $150 in the first half running the ball, had a 70-some-odd yard touchdown run where he outran everybody on the field. And I don't care what he runs in that 40. A 4.54 is good, but
that game speed,
he's no question he's the fastest guy on the field. And I know that's hard to believe, but many times Jerry Rice, they always said that about Jerry Rice. They don't care what he ran the 40 in. But once the lights came on, he was the fastest guy out there. And Tyree, you look down at the field, and some guys just look like they got another step, they got another gear. He was always that guy last year.
Man, and he's good at reading the option, Randy. He knows when to pitch it and when to keep it. And if he ever sees daylight, he gets north and south about as good as anybody I've seen. And he does. Just like you said, he accelerates well. He has a different step. We went to Chelsea last year. Chelsea had not lost a ball game. They really hadn't given up many points at home. And that was as blistering of a win as we've had in a long time, and they were out of it early. The game ended up being called due to storms. It was a deluge there. It was terrible weather late in the third quarter. But
28-0 at the end of the first.
Yeah, it was bad. To go back, somebody brought this up too Sunday, and correct me if I'm wrong. Were we up 35-0 at the end of the first quarter against Eufaula? It was close to. That's unbelievable. I mean, the amount, the leads that we got out to and last year when we really got rolling, and you and I, when we walked on the field against Eufaula, we saw a pretty physical-looking football team, looked really good. And we just took it to them. And just that's the confidence level that we're going to be taking into this year. Got a lot of returning. We lost some guys, some key guys, don't get me wrong, but we got a lot of key returners coming back. It's going to really make this team special.
Let's talk about that in the next segment. 256-234-6221. If you got questions, again, Lake Martin Sports Roundup here. No guests tonight, but we won't guess. So make sure to find us on our social media outlets or give us a phone call. Let us know what's going on. We'll fill this show up. Scott Hardy not with us tonight, but he's not going anywhere. He'll continue to be the host of this program.
Absolutely. Stay tuned. More of the Lake Martin Sports Roundup show presented by JR's right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. This segment brought to you by Langley Funeral Home. So we want to thank Langley Funeral Home for being part of the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show. We've got a lot of great local sponsors here on this program that really support all of our youth programs throughout the Tri-County area, if you want to be honest about it. I mean, we got Clay County, Tallapoosa County, and Coosa County. We cover a lot of those programs, and even all the way down to Elmore County. So we'll just throw them in there in the Lake Martin region. But we're glad to have all of those sponsors here on this program. I want to thank JR Sports Bar and Grill for all that they do. And what a wonderful job they do of supporting youth athletics here in the area. If you come in and you bring your child in their youth league uniform, no matter what it is that they play, they eat off the kids' menu for $3.99. So good luck going out there trying to find a meal cheaper than that for your child. So unfortunately for me, one of mine no longer can get filled up on a $3.99 meal. So he eats more than we do. But anyway.
What's in the chicken?
I don't know, but he's gotten a hold of it.
Brett, he is 11, by the way, and we're bouncing around. But he's 11. He weighs what you did when you graduated high school.
He does. Weighs exactly what I did. Maybe I was about 5 or 6 pounds heavier than him. But, I mean, he's 11. He just turned 11. He's a giant. I don't know. We'll see what we can make out of him, trying to get him out there so he don't puke in a few weeks running. We'll get his helmet on. But, there's a lot of kids out there. I mean, it's just amazing to see the size of some of the kids coming through now. You and I go out on those high school football fields all the time, and you got to remember some of them are 15, 16, 17 years old, and they're already 6'4", 6'5", weigh 270, 280 pounds.
I'd say the average weight of a high school line from 6 and 7A. Let's just say 6 and 7A is 280 pounds.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the number that was in my mind, 280 pounds. I mean,
how much you guess that's up in 20 years? 30 pounds?
Up significantly, yeah.
20 to 30 pounds.
I remember 97 state championship game when Benjamin Russell played Tuscaloosa County. They had one of the biggest offensive lines in high school football in the country, and they averaged right at 300 pounds. I mean, it was a monstrositous offensive line, but that was just unheard of back then. I mean, that was phenomenal. I mean, I remember Mississippi State, when they got to 300-pound a man average over there, how everybody just was astonished at how big Mississippi State's offensive line. Now we're talking about 6A and 7A high schools that have average weights of 280 to 290. That's unbelievable.
256, 234, 6221. Talked about Tyree the last segment, but a lot of other great seniors coming back. And this has been a class, even when they were in middle school, that you could point to and say a lot of the pieces are in line here. And Coach Horn being here, what's his 6th year?
Yeah, this is wait a minute now. Let's see. Is it 6th or 7th?
I think it's a 6th. I think this will be a 7th year.
This is a 7th. Yeah, this is a 7th coming up. Yeah,
so
that's right.
That's just a big,
6 in the books.
That's a big old bonus too to go along with that good group is to have him here as long as we have. And this team's got a lot of the pieces together on the line, a lot of skill position players, and some top-end players that always make the difference, and an outstanding kicking game. Let me start with that. Sean Rape will be back. He's one of the best kickers in the state, no question.
Yeah.
And Cole Grogan, the way he punted that football at the end of the year, and then what we saw in the spring game also with him punting the football. I asked his dad, I said, Nick, what in the world did it just click for him? And punting's that way. It's a weird thing. It's your drops, and all of a sudden you'll go through these little stretches where everything you hit's just perfect. And I never went through that stretch, so I didn't have to worry about it, but many did. And, so it's nice to have a lot of good pieces together, Brett.
Yeah, again, you go back and talk about putting everything together in communities the size of ours and playing in the one of the top levels of football in the state. Probably the toughest classification top to bottom is 6A. 7A is the new classification now for a couple years, but, it's top to bottom, nowhere near as competitive as the teams in 6A. We have probably one of the best teams in the state in 6A this year in Clay Chalkville. Ty Pigram will be back at quarterback there. Saraland is going to be very good again. Spanish Fort will get Johnson back at quarterback. They'll be very good again. Will be very good again. So there's 4 of your top teams in 6A already.
You hadn't even mentioned Opelika.
And I hadn't even gotten Opelika yet. So I was getting to that point.
Go ahead and get there.
They got a quarterback that moved in. He's it's going to be an aerial assault for Opelika. This kid can really throw the football. He's a big kid. He's 6'5", I believe. Is he around 6'5"?
He's a 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". You never know, but he's a 210, 215-pound guy.
He's not a very fleet of foot guy, but he can really throw the football, and they have a big offensive line. They got big, long, lengthy receivers that can go out there and catch the football. So Opelika, they usually are a ground and pound type team. I think you're going to see them throw it a lot more this year.
And Matthew Christian's been there the last several years, so they've been able to do a lot of everything.
They've been versatile.
But they may throw it more than we've seen them throw it in past years, and they've always got tremendous athletes, especially on the lines of scrimmage. I think our player of the week from the Lee County area is from over there. I'm not going to throw his name out because I'll mess it up, but he actually is a linebacker. He's 6'2", 205 or 210. And
how many of those have they had?
Just committed to Troy this past week. So they always have those great receivers. They look like they're 6'2", 200 pounds, and then their outside backers are different. That's the one thing that you'll see a lot different maybe with us in comparison to the very tip-top teams, your Spanish Forts, your Opelikas that have a few more kids to choose from, is those two positions, I would think. Wouldn't you, Brett? Doesn't mean ours are – I mean, you can be – I mean, you can prove you can be 5'10", 180 pounds and be better than anybody 6'2", 215.
That's right.
But you'd like to have your chances with them as often as possible.
Yeah, the God-given ability doesn't help. I mean, doesn't hurt you. I can tell you that. But you got we got a guy – that I think a lot of people are going to be excited to watch this year in a new position in Trey Edwards. And he's going to be our middle linebacker this year. He was defensive end last year. He's extremely fast on his feet. He's 6'1". He weighs about 200, 205. He's a guy that I think is a prototypical linebacker. I mean, just a guy that can have lateral speed back and forth. He's a smart football player. And I'm excited about him being in that position. I think he's going to be in a position now to where he can make even more plays at that middle linebacker spot.
Well, he led the team in tackles last year, defensive end. He had double-digit sacks last year.
Just so fast.
He's a three-star kid to me. I don't, you rank him. I don't know why you rank him.
At least a 3.
But when I look at him and I say that kid definitely played at Troy. He definitely played at South Alabama. He can play at UAB, no question. And you need a bunch of those, don't you?
You definitely do. I mean, that's what makes up the chemistry of your team. And we can sit here and say we'll take lesser talent, and as long as they're coached right, and we put them in the right position. Well, that only goes so far. You got to have some good athletes in certain positions, and Trey being in that middle linebacker position really enhances. Not a cut on anybody that's played middle linebacker for us in the past. I'm gonna tell you something. We're gonna miss the Sturtevant twins in there at linebacker last year. They played phenomenal. They were just grind out. Smart players that made play after play after play. But this now allows Trey to go back to a middle linebacker position, and we've got some depth on the defensive front. We had Wes Tate come up here not too long ago and talk about the depth we finally have on the defensive front. So that allowed Trey to move off the defensive end and go to linebacker.
Well, two-time All-State performer already with Tay Robinson coming back at nose tackle. We've seen him unstoppable. How many times over the last –
Did you hear what he squatted?
675. 675.
He benched 375. He squatted 675 pounds last week.
And he weighs 240?
240, and just as nice a person as you can be. But, boy, when he gets on the field, there is nobody in the state stronger than him. Nobody.
No, I can't imagine somebody squats more than 675
and bring them on up here. But, that he's a natural double-team guy. So what that does – is allow somebody else on the team, the defensive front, the linebackers, to get free. And most of the time, Tay, with a double team's whipping them. And we saw him face off against a tremendous center last year at Opelika, and time after time beat him. It was a tremendous player for us last year. Going to be a really, really tremendous player for us this year. Really opens up holes for other players to make plays.
We'll name two more before we go to break. I know we're up against a break, but Rodney Carroll at corner.
I
think he's a college kid. He's 6'1", 185, maybe 6'2". 6'1", 6'2", 185 pounds. He's a good speed guy. I think he's the fastest player on the team when it comes to the 40-yard dash, and he's very good. When you've got someone that you can just match up and do that makes a difference. And I'll close out with Maxwell back there running back. Got a chance to have a huge season. I hope everything pans out well for him. He turned our head last year. We were thrilled to see what he brought to the table as a sophomore and as a junior. Chase Burton back with 1,000-yard rushing last year. But it looks like if it goes to what we saw in the spring, Maxwell will start at running back and Chase will play outside backer and back up at running back, which is a good fit for him because Maxwell's a game breaker.
Yes, he is.
And
Chase is a grinded out type back, and Randy, it really gives us an added advantage to move Chase over the defensive side of the ball and play outside backer because of his being able to be versatile and all. But I want to go back and talk about Rodney because you played in the secondary when you were here, Benjamin Russell. It's rare you get a lockdown corner. What that does is it takes away that side of the field. For a lot of teams, they don't challenge him maybe one or two times a game, so it really kind of pigeonholes the offense on where they're going to go on the field. So you put him on your best receiver out there for the other team, it really takes him out of the play.
It changes, and when you're in high school, you can't go out there and recruit other than a few of the private schools, and we can talk about that all you want. I'll keep bringing that up.
Yep.
But at the college level, you can go out there and you can get lockdown guys. But in the high school level, even at Hoover, the only option that you have is to go into zone defense with your secondary from time to time because they just can't match up. They don't have the size, they don't have the speed to match up. So you zone it off and you try to give them some help over the top just in case they're trying to hit you over the top. But when you do have a guy that's quicker and longer and got the size level that you see with Rodney Carroll this year, it does change up everything that you're going to do back there. And so I'm excited to see him. He is. Hopefully he'll get some looks. But this is a group that there's no excuse for 3 or 4 of them not to end up with some pretty good college offers, and hope that all the grades are in line. Everything will work out well for them.
Absolutely. We're going to take our last break here. Stay tuned. Well, the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show presented by JR is right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the final segment here on the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show. Brett Pritchard and Randy Lee here with you for a few more minutes before he heads over to the TV station to join Luke Robinson, talk a lot about college football. Arkansas reporter will be on the air with you guys tonight. I'm looking forward to watching that because Arkansas, a team that a lot of people are either really high on or really low on. It's kind of a hit or miss there, kind of like Tennessee, but a lot of other good things that you guys will be talking about on Sports Blitz Live tonight. Auburn started practice today. Trey Matthews, y'all will talk about him. He was absent at practice, but that's kind of been cleared up. Kind of throw it out there that he was not there today taking care of some personal issues. So you can take it for what it is, about what I figured you'd get. But anyway, no suspension, no anything like that. Hopefully be back in practice tomorrow.
256-234-6221, about 3 or 4 more minutes. And I wanted to move over and talk about a couple more teams here in Tallapoosa County. First off, Horseshoe Bend. Jason Franklin. How long's Jason been there at Horseshoe Bend?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Probably,
been there 10 years?
I was going to say like 7 or 8.
That
somewhere.
Good runs when he can,
he really
especially
has.
Offensively, when he can get him a playmaker.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing in a low classification like a 2A, 1A, even 3A from time to time. If you've got a playmaker, but I'm full confidence that when Jason's got them and they've got someone that can put the ball in the end zone, that he can get it done anywhere.
Great coaching staff over there. Again, the same that holds true for us holds true for Horseshoe Bend and other schools in this area. When you are a smaller school in a smaller area with not as many people to pick from, then you just go with the cards dealt. And it's not a cut on anybody, but you got to go with the guys that come out and try out for football. I mean, that's your pick. So Jason's done a phenomenal job at Horseshoe Bend, and I look for them to be a good football team this year that gives 110% effort. Really play. They got a tough region, and I'll just be honest with you. I mean, in basketball, Chad Keeson, our friend, is now the head basketball coach at Horseshoe Bend. They got the state champions in their region, Lafayette. I mean, then they got Lynette. And, I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, Lafayette was one of the best basketball teams.
That's what you said.
All classifications. I'm talking 7. I watched Mountain Brook and Hoover. I give them props. I'll take that Lafayette team, throw them out there in the mix with them, let them go up and down the field, because I'm going to tell you, the point guard for Lafayette was better than either one of the ones that they had on Mountain Brook and Hoover. He was phenomenal. Then they had a 6'9" guy inside that was as prolific of a dunker and athletic as anybody. That game was out of hand 10 minutes in. I mean, it was a 35.
Well, too. We had their coach on.
Threadgill. Yeah, he's tremendous. I don't expect them to do anything but repeat next year. I mean, that point guard was a sophomore. So a lot of talent in that region. Going back to what we were talking about with Horseshoe Bend, they've got a lot of teams that have a lot of talent and a lot of sports, but they are always right there. They're always gritty. They've made the playoffs the last several years. So tremendous effort that he gets out of his kids.
Real town, all I've heard is they've got athletes. I think that's coming from you.
I mean, sometimes you scratch your head and you go, how in the world does programs like this just keep spitting out players? Davil's been doing this for a while now. Forever. Clay County just won. Where do they go find
Didn't you call me and say I just left Real Town and you ought to see them?
Man, I was down there recruiting for Central Alabama Community College, and they walked through the lunchroom, and I said, good luck to everybody in this class is all I can tell you, because this team's loaded, and they do. And not only are they loaded, they get their Hall of Fame coach coming back. High school Hall of Fame, and Jackie O'Neill, who retired. Reeltown didn't quite go out and find the guy that they felt like they needed to be the head coach. You know what Jackie O'Neill says? I'll come back and coach. And everybody down there just jumped up for joy. So he's a Hall of Fame guy. He's won state championships. Reeltown will be solid. They play Dable again to open up the season on a Thursday night.
Beat them last year.
Dable comes off a Champions Challenge win against Piedmont. A short turnaround, not making excuses for Dable, but, Reeltown got Dable sucked into their brand of football, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, pound, and they won a defense, won a low-scoring game. That's what Jackie O'Neill's going to try to do. He's going to try to do exactly the same thing. He's going to try to speed that clock up, run it out, and hopefully he's got just one more point more than Dable does. But again, it'll be a tremendous football game on a Thursday night to get high school football started. But Jackie O'Neill always has his team in a position where they go at least 2 to 3 rounds deep. And again, like to use your term, That's all you can ask for. If you're in the second and third round of the playoffs every year, then eventually it's going to bounce your way.
If you expect something different in high school, then you're really you don't get it. You're really asking for two, unless you.
Hoover's an outlier. I mean, Prattle's an outlier.
And the private schools are an outlier.
They are an outlier.
They don't count.
Madison Academy doesn't count.
No, don't give it to me. UMS right? Nope. I don't want to hear it.
I'm interested to watch in a few weeks. We'll be going down for Champions Challenge. You and I will have Carver Bob Jones. It'll be a big game on Saturday night. Luke and JJ will have Madison Academy and Leeds Friday night. That's going to be
same as it was last
year.
Leeds beat them, and Leeds able to pound them. Only game Madison Academy lost last year. Went on one state championship and ended up winning all three.
Both of them won state championships.
So that'll be a great one. Close of the program, Brad. Again, I want to pass this along because I've been asked a few times. 11 weeks to play 10. The reason they start a little bit early.
That's right.
August 21st, you can either play a jamboree game that night or you can play a regular season game that counts, which is what we do against BC Rain, which is considered week 1. What we'll do is in week 11, we won't play. We'll take a week off heading into the playoffs. If everything works out, we'll be heading into the playoffs at that time. And that's the decision.
Gives you a week of rest.
The decision that you have to make now in high school ball.
You're right. It's everybody's choice. You'll have that option to get a week off somewhere. We'll choose the last week of the season again, kind of to get your team prepared, kind of get the bumps and the bruises kind of healed up because it's a long season, some tough games. But it's here, guys. Football season's upon us. We'll be diving into this heavy now from here on out. We'll sign off here. We'll be back with you next Tuesday night with more Lake Martin Sports Roundup. Randy and Luke up next for Sports Blitz Live. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss it.